Joining me today on Impact Catalyst are Carlo and Beth Franzblau from Sing Out and Read. Welcome.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Good to be here. Thanks for having us.
So there's a little thing called the butterfly effect where a butterfly flaps its wings in one part of the world and it causes a tsunami in another. And your story is kind of along those lines. You started with butchery and a song, and somewhere down the road led to lots of disadvantaged kids learning how to read. So tell us a little bit about that journey and that transformation.
Sure. I was always a terrible singer. Some people say I still am. But I did have a piece of software developed that would teach me to sing in tune by showing me if I was singing too high or too low. And unexpectedly, that piece of software helped kids who were struggling with reading. And the story of how that all unraveled and unrolled and so on has passed over the last 20 years. And I have shout outs to University of South Florida's College of Education that did the research. And I've got shout outs to the developers who I've worked with for 20 years. My wife, who has become the co-founder of our nonprofit, which makes the program available direct in home to kids in low income households and who really need the help because they're so far behind in reading. And so in a sense, that butterfly of me being a bad singer has resulted in the opportunity here in St. Pete to be the first city in the country to actually significantly narrow the achievement gap in reading.
Wonderful. Let's dig into that a little bit. How did you make the connection between the singing and the reading, and then what does that show us about the learning to read process?
Sure. Well, when the Learning to Sing in Tune program was first ready to go to market, I did an audition for the 10 worst singers I could find because I wanted to videotape them before and after. And one of the families that volunteered, and they had to audition for me, so I knew they were terrible singers. I used the software to identify that. One of those kids was a middle school student who, her first name was Ashley, I still remember. This kid used our program for about 4 weeks, and the mom started getting calls from the school's reading specialist wanting to know what Ashley was doing at home differently because she had gone from scared to death to read out loud in front of her classmates to volunteering to read out loud in front of her classmates. And the mom is the one who put the two together and said, well, the only thing differently we're doing at home is this new singing game. And that was the spark, or that was the real big, tip off. Something's going on here.
And then Carlo was able to find researchers interested in this phenomenon at USF. And they did 6 years of research and found that if used for 90 minutes a week or 900 minutes over the course of 12 weeks, children on average got one full grade level. So in just 3 months' time. It's a fantastic way for kids to be able to catch up because otherwise they take forever to try to catch up while they're continuing to fall behind.
Right. So as you break down the benefits, and did the research show that it was the mechanical action or the way they interacted with the subject matter or confidence building? How did this sort of break down why it works?
Yeah, great question. The researcher used to have this beautiful slide with a virtuous circle of boxes that would appear and so on. So imagine a PowerPoint. It sort of started like this. Struggling readers are frequently very disengaged because they're behind in school. So put them in front of a computer and let them play a singing game, you engage them, right? Then, because of the objective feedback from the software that's immediate, you started to get a repetition. They would do it over and over again. They would read the song lyrics sometimes 20 times in order to improve their singing score. And this repetition turned out to build something called sight recognition vocabulary. And sight recognition vocabulary builds fluency in reading. You can now get through the sentence without stopping to sound out words. And then comprehension follows right along. So forgive me if I maybe dug too deep into the literacy terms, but it's a beautiful, model of explanation of engagement, success, repetition, building the sight recognition vocabulary, fluency, and ultimately what we're all trying to get to with reading, and that's comprehension.
Wonderful.
And if you look at it just in terms of what we all know in learning to read, it's reading out loud. It's basically the children are singing the song 5 times, but they're following the lyrics and they're reading them out loud. And they're engaged and think it's fun the whole time, as opposed to struggling through the sentence.
Right. So it sounds like the packaging is a big part of it, and that it mimics some of the things that, when you associate school with something you have to do and don't want to do, and it sort of runs down this path, but this actually runs down the same path as things they like to do already, including gamification and video games, and obviously music as well.
Absolutely. Over the years, we've had great opportunities to work with great educators and leaders in the community here. Chris Letsos was the CEO at Tampa Bay Boys and Girls Club, and he used to call it disguised learning. So the gamification and other people we've worked with have immediately picked up on that. You're turning it into a game, and yet they're practicing these critical reading skills.
Makes me want to take vegetables and put them in the shape of Skittles or something like that. Maybe the same logic will work.
Well said.
So at some point, the path led you to specifically concentrating, not specifically just working with, but concentrating on disadvantaged youth. How did the journey move in that direction?
Well, we found for a long time we offered the program directly to schools to implement in the school day, during the school day. And implementing sort of a chaotic karaoke style experience into a school environment in and of itself is quite challenging. You have limited access to the computer lab, which is where the program has to be done. And in COVID times, my gosh, you couldn't have a room full of 20 kids singing out loud. By the way, they also are all singing different songs at different tempos in different keys. So it makes for a very interesting audio landscape, let's say.
The kids are all in their own little worlds, though, because they have headsets on with their microphone and they don't hear what's going on around them. But anyone else coming into that space is a little bombarded.
Yeah,
So
bombarded and taken aback.
It's ideally set for after-school use and after-school programs or in the home. And we found through COVID in particular, that in the home program that we were able to get working on a tablet is phenomenal. Kids will put in double, triple the amount of time that we ask them to do because they enjoy it, and their reading is soaring as a result.
So, Beth, as you've sort of watched this grow, and then you're as a co-founder, when you see ideas like this that clearly work, there's evidence, both academic and experiential. What are the biggest barriers that you've had, or that you see now that you have to deal with, that keep this from just really being something that every kid in America does?
Well, I can name a few. I'm sure Carlo can add on to them too. I think one is because it's an out-of-the-box kind of idea. Traditional education doesn't necessarily see it as the first tool they would reach for. So it's kind of getting educators to open their minds a little bit about how kids learn. That's a little less traditional, and therefore recommend it to parents. But I think largely for us, it's been tapping into ways that we can reach these families in their own home environments and communities, and then being able to cycle those tablets through as many 12-week segments as we can. So it's finding families that will commit to the program and its usage and the maintenance of the tablet, and then finding additional families that we can pick up so we don't lose time in between the families starting and stopping.
Well, you and I were talking last night about the book Innovator's Dilemma, and that really, I think, does a good job of explaining some of the challenges when you're bringing a disruptive innovation, potentially disruptive innovation, into any marketplace. And if we think about the world of education, it's one, the schools, even before COVID, where the day was packed with mandated programs that they're sometimes in dispute of whether the kids get recess or not. So to try and find 30 minutes a day for a totally out of the box solution, to, granted, a serious problem that everyone's aware of, it's a hard environment to adopt and adapt true innovation into, despite the best intentions of everybody involved. So there's part of it. The next thing is, a lot of parents don't really want to share that their kid is struggling with reading. So unlike maybe something that might take off virally, just think about a funny video. I'll send that to 10 friends. But if I found a solution to my kid who I was afraid was maybe needed to be tested for special ed or whatever, I'm probably not going to tell 10 of my friends that we finally got Johnny so that there's a chance he's going to read on grade level. So those are at least two things that come to mind as barriers. But I love your thought about every kid in the country using it. 2/3, a lot of people may not be aware, 2/3 of our kids in our schools are reading below grade level. When you look at the at-risk population, it's 85%. 85% of the at-risk kids. So a lot of kids will benefit. A lot of kids will benefit.
Sounds like the parents may need some of the packaging benefits that the kids are enjoying to help the learning go down as well, and hopefully and sharing it and whatnot. And along those lines, did you try to go through schools first, and then because of some of the things we just mentioned, sort of shift to a direct to parent model?
Yeah, we learned as we went that it really wasn't ideally set for the school day. That it was better used at home or in after school programs, because it is so different. I mean, during the school day too, kids are told to kind of sit quietly and pay attention quietly. And that's not what this is all about. So that was a big factor.
I'd like to add on to that. In Pinellas and in St. Pete, we've got a wonderful community partner. We've got several wonderful community partners. The Pinellas County Urban League, Watson Haynes, and formerly the chair of the Urban League, Linda Marcelli, big fans of our approach. And they've encouraged us to do things like reach out to churches, traditionally African-American churches. There's a couple of youth sports organizations in South St. Pete that have been great places for us to do implementations. We call our approach, the direct in-home approach, the Family Literacy Project. And then we abbreviate that FLIP, F-L-I-P. And what goes home is these tablets with a cellular connection. And as a result, we don't have to worry if the child is in a home where there is no internet, no reliable internet, or frequently in low-income households, a child might move around to a couple different houses over the course of the week, maybe a separate spouse's, maybe grandma's house. And again, the cellular connection on the tablet allows the child to use it anywhere. So it's well adapted, we think, to the in-home strategy. And as we build these community partnerships with the football teams, the youth sports football teams, the cheerleading squads, we hope to work with the libraries in Pinellas after COVID. I think the branch library system is another untapped way, and we'll never turn our backs on the school system. I mean, one of our biggest fans is some folks in the Pinellas County school system, and they made introductions for us just this spring to get 150 kids, third graders, on the program before the big reading test coming up in April. And so we work with any and all partners.
Well, it's a very clever and innovative idea and product and theory, and it's exactly the kind of thing that we love to see coming out of our community, born right here and working right here and partnering right here. So thank you for spending your valuable time doing that and dedicating so much of your life to this issue and to putting your brain power behind it. It's greatly appreciated. If folks want to connect, what are the reasons they would connect? Various stakeholders, and how should each of those connect with you?
Well, first they can learn more by going to singoutandread.org, spelled out, SINGOUTANDRAD.org. And in terms of those interested, they can, in supporting us and what we're doing, they can email Carlo at, you want to give your email address?
Yeah, sure. Talk to me. I'll give my cell number as well. Carlo, no S, Carlo at singoutandread.org. That's my email address. And my cell number is 813-781-3008. I rarely pick it up because of all the calls I get from the various non-essential services that supposedly I need, but I do respond to voicemails.
And additionally, right now we are looking for people who are interested in using the program for the summer. So we have forms on our website that people can ask for more information and register or sign up for more information on the summer program. And that's if you go to singoutandread.org and you hit sign up for FLIP, that will take you to the page where you can put in more information.
Perfect. Wonderful. Thank you both.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joe. I really appreciate the opportunity to share what we're doing.
Sure.